Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to Coffee and Childhoods by Kids OK Please. Kids OK Please is the child-focused organization dedicated towards creating marvelous childhoods, and we aim to enrich the lives of every young child through experiences that will help in evolving their cognitive, social, and emotional intelligence and provide the best of childhoods. I would like to thank all of you for joining us today. I am Neha Khan. I am the co-founder of Poets and Nights Advertising Solutions, and I am the moderator for today's Coffee and Childhoods. And the topic for today is the evolving role of a father. Yeah, and we have a fantastic panel today. Let me introduce all of you to our panelists. Our first panelist is Nasir Merchant, co-founder of Foxtrot Interactive Private Limited, launched in 2017, and director stakeholder at ICOMI Travel Services, launched in 2018. Thank you for joining us, Nasir.
Completely, my pleasure. I look forward to a good and healthy discussion today.
Same here, same here. And our second panelist for the day is Anureet Sethi. She's the founder and chairperson of Trijog Know Your Mind Private Limited. And she's also a senior consultant psychologist at Dr. L.H. Hiranandani Hospital. She's a renowned clinical psychologist carrying a 32 years experience in the field of mental health and clinical psychology. Glad to have you here today, Anureet.
Thank you, Neha.
And a third panelist is Kunal Jhaveri. Welcome, Kunal.
Thank you, Neha.
He's the promoter director of Megafine Pharma, and he's actively involved for 12 years in the growth of the company, focusing on lifestyle and chronic diseases like Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, depression, cardiology, etc. And welcome all of you. Thank you for joining us today. I would like to tell the audience that at the end of the discussion, we'll have a Q&A session. So I request the audience to note the questions and drop their questions in the chat box of the session. Yeah. Right? So let's begin. Yeah? Okay. So let me start with Anureet. Okay, so Anureet, growing evidence supports the fact that the active involvement of a father in his child's development is hugely important. So could you tell how a father's involvement and interest in the child's life leads to a positive outcome for the child?
Just a second. I'll get a little more clarity. Sorry, Neha.
Yeah, no problem. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Neha?
Yeah, your voice is, you'll need to increase your voice.
Okay, let me see.
The mic.
Is that better now?
No, it's not.
Okay, what?
I think the laptop speaker is...
Can you hear me better?
No. Your earlier voice was better.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll repeat my question, Anureet. Yeah. So like I said, growing evidence shows that that active involvement of a father in his child's development is hugely important. So could you tell how a father's involvement brings a positive outcome in a child's development as he or she grows up?
Surely. So see, basically, it is really nowadays it is becoming more and more known that father's involvement in the child's life is very important. But
Right.
A parent is a parent, whether it is a man or a woman. You see, it
Right.
is we who give this kind of division that the father has to bring up the child or the mother has to bring up the child. It is both their responsibility. In the earlier years, it was not very absolutely out in the open that the father is contributing to a lot of things,
Right.
because nurturance is more related to the woman's role. So that is why a lot of work. It was expected that the woman take care of the child.
Right.
But with the time increasingly demanding so much from on both the fronts, even the man has to contribute as much to home and outside as the woman has to. The man's involvement in the home has become very important. So from the very beginning, from the time the baby comes in, when the woman is expecting, we never say that the woman is expecting, we say we are expecting the baby. So the father needs to get involved from that very moment. The 9 months of pregnancy, to the time the baby is born, to thereafter. His role is as prominent as the woman's role. And he plays an equal responsibility in the physical, emotional, and mental development of the child, according to me.
Right. Thank you, Anurit, for answering that question. I would like to move on to Nasir. Yeah. So Nasir, you have a 2-year-old son, Kabir, right? So you are relatively a new dad with shared responsibilities of taking care of Kabir.
Right.
Yeah. So can you share your thoughts on how the role of a modern dad has shifted to be more involved in raising children?
Completely. So obviously I'll take a cue from what Anurit said, unfortunately, what's happened in the age-old thinking of things, the man is always thought to be the bread earner of the family. And I'm talking about age-old thinking, not, thought process now. Today, obviously, we are in fact there where women are right there with men, and in fact higher than men in a lot of categories today. And, taking care of children was always thought to be the woman's responsibility for everything. But, in my personal experience, and I'm not, just sake of saying it, but today's dads obviously are taking, way lot of interest in their kids' development, be it anything, right from the time of the announcement of pregnancy. I'll dwell a little into my personal experience, right from taking care of my wife through those 9 months, taking care of her in every place that there is, right from being in a delivery room to taking care of my kid from the time he was a day old to what he is now, in all possible, holistic development more than anything else, making him, having my fun times with him, having my learning times with him. So it's more than, I think it's equally shared right now. It's not something that a woman does less or a man does less. It's completely Dutch at the moment, as you call it, in the new terms and things of that sort. And it's not a new normal or something. This is a normal which is going on for a while now. And I think I'm quite sure these things will continue for the involvement. And it's not because, I want to showcase to the world, I'm a good dad or something. It's just because I love doing it. I love to spend time with my kids. I love to be there for him at all points of time. Be it his first thing, his first smile, to his first crawl, to his first walk, to everything that you see.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And it's been a fantastic time. There's not one complaint till now. Obviously, ups and downs a little bit here or there. I think we're going to speak the topics to come ahead, but it's obviously a fantabulous time that I've been having with my son Kabir.
Amazing, amazing. So you were right, Nasir. So these new terms have come up like modern dad, and it's been trending, and people are sharing things on their social media, and it's become quite the norm now that fathers are actively getting involved, and it's good to see that, especially when the wives, the spouses are also working, so it's shared responsibility. So it's good to see these changes in the society in today's time,
and they are here to stay for sure.
Yeah, great. So moving on to Kunal. Hey Kunal, hi. So Kunal, you have 2 lovely daughters, Aryahi, who is 5 years old, and Anika, who is 7 months old.
True.
Right? So how do you manage to be an involved father for both your daughters, and do you allot a time for yourself to de-stress?
So I am quite a busy dad in terms of my work. My work involves a lot of travel, but I try to balance my time between home and work. So ever since we've had kids, reduced my travel time.
I'm sorry, Kunal, can you be a little louder, please?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
My work travels are quite extensive. So ever since we've had kids, I've reduced my travel time so that I can manage my time at home as well as work. because I don't want to miss out on any of their first, what Nasir said, they're right from their first vaccine to, their first smile or their first crawl. My travels have been shorter, to spend more time with them. And in terms of, de-stressing, what I do is usually, so that I don't burn out. What I do is I've taken up yoga, I've taken up even meditation. So that kind of helps me in terms of balancing everything right from work life and getting more involved in parenting.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, Anuri, back to you. With modern fathers juggling between work and helping in raising children, how important it is for fathers to indulge in some self-care and avoid parental burnout.
Yeah. So see, like we were just talking about juggling between work and home front. See, actually, we know that now they need to be equally present, whether it is related to work or whether it's related to being at home. Like you just said earlier, that in the earlier times, it was believed that the father is the breadwinner.
Right.
But now that the woman has also become the breadwinner, both have to share equal responsibility. You see? But obviously, maybe work-wise, they, like Kunal just said, that travel sometimes become much more for them. In that case, there's a lot of stress because you're juggling and taking duties, responsibilities related to your child, and you're trying to manage the home front, your children's development, emotional, social development, etc. We see very often that a burnout starts to happen. You see, where on one side you're making sure that you're there with your colleagues, you're managing, being a good boss, managing your work front when giving all your time to the children. Self-time definitely goes down. So self-care is something we as psychologists are promoting worldwide, not only to men, but even to women, because your priority to you is first you yourself. You see, many a times people do say that is self-care being selfish. I say that isn't like that. Taking care of yourself should be your priority. But I'm not saying that you should become selfish. You know, there are many times where I do hear from the woman or from the man that the other, the counterpart parent is being a little selfish because they do their things and they cannot actually look after the needs of their children. But to me, I say that self-care is your priority, whether it's physical self-care, whether it's emotional self-care, whether it's spiritual or mental self-care, emotional self-care. So for physical self-care, you must do a lot of good exercise. Make sure that you have that me time. You know, nowadays, even little children are talking about me time. So what the papas, they need the me time. I feel a little sad sometimes because, you know, we women keep on pushing, no, daddies have to come into the front. But the poor daddies who are there trying to do their very best, then have no time for themselves. So exercise, meditation, doing your passionate, things that you're passionate about. Please take out time to do that. I know for a lot of men who go for their sport regularly, they do their swimming, and who says that you can't do your fun things with your children? So see, even if you're a swimmer and you love swimming and you want to actually go out and go for a swim, take your kids along with you. It doesn't really require that you have to be not with them. You can be with them, yet have your own time. So, and on the emotional front, you have to keep on doing certain things which keep you emotionally charged up. You see, you have to read articles which you're fond of, connect socially. Yes, social self-care is also very important. Keep connecting with your friends. See the other papas. How are they doing their job with their children? Continue, like see today's beautiful session. Become active on social media and have a conversation and listen to conversations related to this so that everybody knows that we are all into this together. Okay? So I must say self-care is totally most essential and you must take out time every single day for yourself too.
Absolutely, Anurit, you're bang on that. We agree with you. That was the whole idea of having this discussion, this series, Coffee and Childhood, so that all the parents and professionals who are, prominent in the children development space, we come together and share our stories and take advice and be the best parents that we can for our children. So thank you for your answer. On that, I would also like to ask Nasir, because he was nodding a lot. Yeah. So while you were talking, so Nasir, what sort of hobbies or how do you
Signed in.
de-stress? Like Kunal said that he does yoga. And Anurit mentioned, that you need to, follow a personal hobby and have that me time. So what do? You would like to know, so that the other fathers can have some idea.
Completely. So I was, to your first question, I was nodding a lot when Anurit was speaking,
Yes.
basically because she was nailing every nail in the coffin. She was saying all the right things and things, which I think all of us agree to quite an extent. The me
Right.
time and everything else. Yeah. So what do I do when it comes to hobbies? So obviously, I'm going to talk about the pre-lockdown phase. I'm going to talk about the normal phase and not the new normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. What times, obviously, when I used to love hanging out with my friends. I have a close set of friends who I love hanging out with. So, going out with them, meeting them, obviously doing the physical activities and things of that sort. So as it's given, I've been an avid traveler. So I love traveling, be it traveling, in drivable distances, going somewhere domestically or going somewhere internationally because of my work.
So you have been to more than 40 countries, I've heard.
Oh my
Or more than that?
Around that, a little bit more than that, for sure.
Yeah, wow, that's cool.
So again, my work takes me there. I'm a travel guy at the end of it. I'm a MICE specialist, so that's what I do for a living. What I used to do for a living, at least for a while now. So my hobbies, obviously, include a lot of physical activities like playing a lot of sports. I love playing football. I love playing my cricket. Nowadays they have these indoor turfs which are there. So I make sure every once a week at least on the weeknight, basically go out and make sure I play 2 hours or 3 hours of my love sport that I have.
Nice.
Apart from that, I love to write. Not many people know about it apart from my wife. I write a lot of things, obviously don't publish and things of that sort, but I love writing it for my own self, love writing it to remember, make memories and things of that sort. So I love writing and love getting knowledge from all these social media sessions and other things of that sort. So
Wonderful, wonderful.
I keep on doing, to keep myself occupied. Yes, me time, very important, very, very necessary. So as I always tell my wife, it's me time and we time. So, once from a time Kabir has come, the we time also has become a little less comparatively because of his age right now and things of that sort. But we make it a point, me and my wife both make it a point that we have a good amount of we time whenever we want to do it.
Wonderful.
And yeah, the me time obviously is there.
So, yeah, so me time and we time,
Right.
the audience should know that. So that's something that that's interesting to note. So you should have me time and we time, which is family time. So
Completely.
cool, great. So thank you, Nasir. Moving on to the next question. So this is for so basically what happens is today's kids, what I've noticed is they rush through things, right from having dinner to doing these like homework or things like, and they are so active and they're so like they just keep running around the house, and you want to get their attention, you want to bond with them, have longer conversations with them, especially if they are more than 2 years old, like 2 to I think 6 to 7 years, I would say. So it's important to connect with the child and bond with them so that there's an interpersonal communication happening between both the parents and the kids, and usually it's the mother who takes care of some of the things. But then I would like to know, how do fathers open up to their child, and how it helps in communicating with the children and to know what their feelings are, what their thoughts are. So Kunal, I would like to know, how do you encourage Aryahi to open up with you?
So,
Aryahi is 5 years old, right? Yeah.
She's 5 years old. She's
Yeah.
a very active kid.
Yeah.
She's a very outdoor person.
Yeah.
So I tend, weekends are usually dedicated towards them. I try and do a lot of outdoor stuff with her. Go to clubs or parks, play cricket or, football or, go cycling with her. And Sundays I usually like going swimming with her. Be it, even if my wife cannot make it, I'll try and, take her alone for a swim because, that's more of my time with her, trying to bond with her. So weekends is more of, spending as much time as I can with both the kids. And, encouraging her to talk. What I usually do is get into small talks, like what things, she does, what, or, like for example, when she comes back from school, every evening when I'm back from home, back from work, I usually first ask her, what is the thing that she ate in school, the hot snack, because that's the one thing that she really looks forward to, when she's going to school. I don't ask her like, what exactly did she do in class. So these are small things that she really looks forward to, telling us,
So ask the children something that they're interested in.
exactly.
So that will open up a conversation. They'll be more interested to have a dialogue with you and tell.
Because I tell her like, what did she do in her English class or her math class? She might not answer me that question.
Okay.
Uh, so things that that she enjoys, that is what I try and ask her. And what I've noticed is like in the evenings at night when I put her to bed, after her prayers, then when she's quiet, she tries to tell you things that she's done during the day, which she doesn't usually want to tell you when you ask her questions. So like in the middle, she was in the phase of sharing secrets, so she would
Wow.
make up small secrets. I mean, very stupid things,
Yes.
but she would find I'm like, there's some secret she's telling me. So that way she can confide in me, So, I would enjoy listening to those fun things, So,
Wow, that's a really good tip, yeah. Telling your child to share a secret with you and having that bond, Yeah, Anurit, what do you think about that idea?
Wonderful,
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful. So see, like beautifully said by Kunal and even by Nasir, spending time with our children uh, doesn't need to happen all through the day, but the amount of time you spend should be good time, where you're actually communicating. The key to a good relationship for a parent and a child is good communication and even transparency. Sometimes we have to become good role models ourselves. We need to show to them that I trust you and therefore you can trust me and share things with me. As a psychologist, like you were talking about while you were introducing me, I have worked in the field of school mental health all my life through. And whenever parents came to me, I, as a parent, right now, Neha did talk about Nasir's kids, Kunal's. I have two children. They are adults now. You see, my son is 28 and my daughter is 25.
Yes.
And while bringing them up, the norms and things, like I'm saying, were similar even way back 30 years. Things haven't changed. Only everything has come more into the focus today, you see, where we see that, okay, every individual has become so important in contributing to probably everything in a family. But even at our times, there were roles and they were divided properly. And we had to serve as role models to make us children believe in us and share things we would share, and we've got that in response. Now, with two adults, grown up adults, I can share everything with them. But that level of respect needs to be maintained, Many times parents ask me, ma'am, if we share everything and become so transparent with our kids, then where will be that level of respect? They may start treating me just like a friend and
Right.
then disrespect me. So the line has to be there between a parent and a child. So once you show them certain things by modeling the kind of behavior you're expecting, I think that works really well.
Great. And Anurit, like you said, you have two adult children now in their late 20s, and you say that you can discuss anything with them today. So this has, of course, a lot to do with how you raised them when they were young, to
Definitely.
build that trust between both of you. So how can we do that? How can young parents use that early childhood window to build that trust that will go on in the child's adult life also, and have this long term which is built on trust.
So, Neha, a beautiful question put forth. As a parent, when we become parents, we have to consciously understand that this is nothing very difficult. You know, many of the parents come to me and they say, "Oh my God, we've become parents, but child rearing is really tough." It is not. Firstly, we need to, I always tell parents, when I've been through a journey of motherhood myself and my husband's been through fatherhood, you have to enjoy parenthood, you see. So there is no laid out rule. See, we read so much. Like I said, nowadays we are so lucky. We're getting to see so much on media. We can go onto any social media or media connects and get any information we need. Back in our days, we would only go by what our parents taught us or what we could actually experience. So both my experiential learning and my psychological learning teacher has told me that when you're rearing your children, firstly, throw away your level of anxieties. Don't let that stress factor, bringing up a child should not be stressful. And how will it not be stressful? If you compartmentalize what are your priorities. See, work is priority. Bread earning for the family is priority. Taking care of your wife's needs, husband's needs, each other's relationship needs are important. Taking care of children, and like Nasir says, even socialization is important. So if you, as a parent, you make it very clear, make sure that you give very clear rules to your children from the very beginning. Communicate very clearly, effectively, lay down some family rules. See, certain rules may be there in my family, which may not be applicable to another family. But there are some rules which are generic rules. So if we follow those rules, and like I said, if we also display the same kind of behavior that we are expecting from them, automatically you will actually open channels to love, communication, and a good relationship.
Right, right. So a lot of insights coming up in this discussion, one question leading to the other. So one is me time, how important is me time? How important is early childhood for parents to build trust with their children? That will be a lifelong relationship built on trust. So that's an amazing insight. Another insight that we drew from Kunal's question is you could bond with your children, having getting those secrets, sharing secrets, and making the whole conversation fun, and having that alone time with your child, something that only you two share. So that's wonderful. That's amazing. Kabir, when it comes to bonding with Nasir, when it comes to bonding with Kabir, what do you do? Like,
Right. So when it comes to actual bonding, so obviously, I think all of us, stress a lot on learnings and things of that sort. So the learning part of it obviously happens to quite an extent. At this age, children grasp, naturally they grasp a lot of things. So anything that they see or learn right now is stuck in their mind for a while. So, and they kind of follow it. So apart from learning, I also do a lot of fun activities with him. I kind of play with him, basic stuff. So I always had this thing. Probably it was the wrong thing at that point of time to think about. I want my son to be a footballer. So I
oh, okay.
up to sing, that's a different debating topic altogether. But obviously, I spend things that I also like with him. So I have probably, I play football with him at home. Make sure, set up different targets for him. Make sure, tell him to kick it there, kick it here. And he kind of enjoyed, he celebrates, he goes down on his knees and has his hand pump in the air, tries to copy some baller. So it's just fun, he wears his Arsenal jersey. It's one of my favorite clubs. So he wears the Arsenal jersey and, says Arsenal, Abba, it's Arsenal.
Wow.
So all this is the fun time of it. Apart from that, I also make, I make sure that I maintain, everyone maintains the work-life balance, but with my traveling, again, I used to travel almost 10 to 12 days a month to start off with. But whenever I'm here and, whenever I'm in office, I make sure, though I have a business to manage, I make sure I come back at a certain point of time, give him his time, which he needs. It's very important at this age to give him that time, make sure he gets all the attention from both his parents and not from only one parent at this time. So I make sure I give him that time, be it going to a club, as Kunal said, nowadays you have these play zones that are there. So take him to a play zone, take him for a walk somewhere, probably down in the building or on Marine Drive or somewhere in South Bombay. And that's how my dad has, given me time at all points of time. And I'm also following or trying to, be that good dad and following the same kind of things which I have learned from my dad. So just making sure I give him all possible things, be it sports, be it physical activities, going for a swim with him. So it's all there, that's how I have my time with him. And I make sure I take him a lot to travel also. So that's what I'm making sure that Kabir also travels to a lot of countries before he is a certain age.
So basically, Nasir, you're passing on your passions, football and traveling to Kabir. Yeah. Yeah.
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? They're the good ones. So I'm
Wonderful. So, so we're talking about children and fathers. So let's talk about your relationship with. So how a father and a mother, a husband and a wife, as a team, they help each other in raising children, right? So it's about raising children, but it's also about helping your wife to do the best for your child, right? So there are times after pregnancy, sometimes mothers face they suffer from postpartum depression. Sometimes the couple is not aware that the mother is having this challenge. Even she might not understand what's going on. So Anurit, could you shed some light on that and tell us how fathers, or rather husbands, can be supportive to their wives? And then we'll move on to Nasir and Kunal.
Yeah. So, Neha, in any case, as we are aware that women go through lots of hormonal changes, and throughout their life, along with changes in hormones, change in mood is also there, you see. But post-pregnancy, post-delivery, the postpartum depression is very significant in some women, yet not significant in many. But it is mostly seen that the process of going through the pregnancy and having the baby, just having the baby, can be something beautiful. But thereafter, as the baby is born, identifying with your baby does take a little time. You see, that phase between having delivered the baby to even others taking over is something that is very sensitive for the woman. So a man's role there becomes absolutely essential. Actually, biologically also, women go through her hormonal change. So there's a total dip in mood. A lot of the serotonin levels come down, endorphins come down. So that change brings about postpartum depression. So therefore, at that time, you being by your wife's side is very essential. Keeping her moods going, because see, many mothers want to, nowadays people have become very conscious, they want to do the feeding themselves, nursing for their babies, you see. Right. That process can be really difficult. Managing the baby crying all the while can be very difficult initially. So if your wife knows you're by her side at all time, she feels wonderful about it. And sometimes women don't realize, when I tell them later, when they come to me for depression, once they're through with their pregnancy, much later in life, they say, ma'am, I've been through these feelings even post-pregnancy, but I never knew that it's postpartum depression.
So Anurit, so can you tell us what are the symptoms to look out for? For husbands also, for wives also who are in the audience.
Yeah.
So what are those symptoms that we should look out for and know
yes.
that this is
so when the rest of the family is showing so much of an excitement for the baby birth, the woman in postpartum depression starts feeling low. Most of the time, you'll see that your wife, who was in a better mood earlier, just in her pregnancy and just to the delivery, suddenly starts changing in her mood, being more on the lower, sadder side. Secondly, you will even notice excessive crying. You know, when you see that your wife is indulging in crying and getting irritated over the smallest thing, that also is an indicator that she is heading towards some kind of a depression. Third is lowered activity. If she does not want to come out, sit with the family, just continues to do the baby chores without really smiling, laughing, feeling totally involved, that is a symptom. I have seen women, they even detach themselves from the baby at this time, you know.
Okay.
And a very sad but a shocking thing is also that women turn suicidal. I mean, you have a baby. I have known women who have committed suicide, leaving their baby there, have died because they just can't bear the kind of change that is coming hormonally in their body. Okay,
That's
so it is very important for you all to know the signals. So excessive crying, not being involved, getting irritated at the change in behavior. Whenever you see that this change of mood has never been there in my wife before, you must understand that she is heading towards postpartum depression. And immediate consultation with somebody is important. Therefore, your support being some, see, many women may even move out of it naturally. I also had a mild postpartum depression after both my pregnancies, but because of the constant support I was getting from my husband, my mother-in-law, my family, who was not over here, my maternal family, I was happy about. I mean, every day there was newness in our relationship, something new, talking about the baby, people
right.
coming to meet us,
Okay.
friends coming over. That was really keeping us alive, you know.
Right. Okay. So let me ask a question to Kunal. Kunal, Anurit has shared a lot of information about the postpartum, phenomena that mothers go through. You have two children, right? So, what are your thoughts on that? How have you dealt with this if you have gone through this situation during, the post? Pregnancies for both the daughters, and what is the advice that you would give to our audience as well regarding this topic?
As Amrit rightly mentioned, that one of the symptoms are usually.
Sorry, Kunal, can you please be a little louder?
Can you hear me now?
A little louder, please.
Audible?
Yeah.
As Amrit mentioned, that one of the key symptoms is that there are a lot of mood swings. Right. To catch whether the person is depressed or not. And and it's true, because of the hormonal imbalance, there are sporadic moments, in their moods. So, what in my case, what we tried to do was, if she's most of the time going to be at home with the child, it kind of takes a toll on their mental health as well as the physical health. So trying to get them away from that environment to a new environment. So what I did was try to encourage her to, restart her work. She's a self-employed person. She has her own business. So immediately after the birth of the child, of our daughter, I would encourage her to, at least spend at least a couple of hours going to the office. That's a new environment. You occupy yourself somewhere. So mentally you're occupied in something more creative, more productive than what you like. So that kind of takes your attention from the routine of the child. Try to encourage her in terms of taking some time off in terms of travel. So what we did was we started traveling very early with both our daughters. Like the first one we started traveling at 5 months, when she was 5 months. The second one we started straight at the first month itself we traveled. So getting a new environment, even pushing her to take trips of her own, where for example, when my daughter was older one, I encouraged her that take a trip by yourself with your cousins or your kids alone. So that way she gets her meal.
Just 1 second, Kunal. Can the Kids Okay Please team please mute the people who are joining us, please? Yeah, sorry, Kunal, go ahead.
So that way it gives her time to focus on herself, re-energize, spend time with her friends, her cousins. Um, so that way, it kind of gives overall change in environment. So even for my first daughter, when she was 2 years old, um, uh, we never done such a thing. It was the first time, she was going abroad for a trip. She went for a 10-day trip, and I happily managed my first daughter. She was 2 years old, but it was fun. Then even during my second daughter's after my second daughter's birth, she was only 4 months. But obviously during the feeding time, you can't really keep her back. So she traveled with her, but I took care of the older one, and I used that time as my time with my daughter in terms of bonding. So we spent a weekend away doing Magica. But I think in terms of helping them with a change in environment from the daily routine, kind of helps them get out of that situation sooner.
Right. So one of the things that I would like to highlight from your answer is uh, let your wife go back to work or get her involved in something that she's interested in, which is other than the baby, right? So Nasir, moving on to you, uh, 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 what are your thoughts about this? So how has your wife gone through this, or anybody you know who has gone through this, and what are the ways that husbands can help their wives coming out of this depression?
So to the first question, no, I don't think my wife. I don't know. She's somewhere here, but I would have kind of verified it. I don't think she's gone through any postpartum depression.
So let us tell the audience, Anurit, if I'm not wrong, sorry to interrupt you, Nasir, but I want to stress on the fact that not all mothers go through this.
No.
Not all mothers go through this. So yeah, relax, wives.
Yeah. No, and also if you go through it, it's okay.
Because it's something that, for you mothers, people who are expecting, it's not necessary that you have to
go through it.
You will go through this, right? Yeah. So sorry, Nasir, you can.
Completely. But it's very important to speak to your wife during those times. Segregation of responsibilities also. Today, if I want to be an equal husband or equal parent for that matter, equal parent for that matter, it's very important to segregate a lot of responsibilities. She's gone through possibly the most beautiful 9 months, but the toughest 9 months for her also, and the toughest day when the thing happens, actually, when a delivery happens.
Yes,
that's a lot of things that change in a woman at that point of time. A new mother, as Mrs. Sethi has very rightly put, a lot of hormonal changes that occur at that point of time. So, for me, it was very simple. I realized, first of all, obviously, it took my paternity for a longer period of time, made sure I took my paternity for a longer period of time. And also made sure that, the small things that she likes, her food habits or things of that sort, made sure, for those nice surprises that I could give her at that point of time, making sure that, things are like normal before. It's not something that has changed immensely post this, apart from taking care of Kabir from, day one from whatever I could do. There are also things that, I made to comfort her, making her favorite food, taking her out to a favorite place, or, something of that sort. So just made sure that all these things happen in tandem so that she doesn't feel that low or go down, at any point of time. Wonderful. And I'm quite sure, we are in a relationship where she would have voiced things. So luckily things have...
Good, that's nice.
Maybe in the future we'll have both of you. Yeah. So
Neha, I'd just like to add, beautifully said by Nasir as well as Kunal, what the woman really needs at this time is attention and empathy. So when we can give that to her, because suddenly from having the baby, when she was expecting, the attention was on her. Suddenly it goes on to the baby and she just suddenly feels detached from that, Right. So at that time, if you continue to give her the attention, it is wonderful, which you all have done, I suppose.
Wow. So important to note from this conversation is, yes, we have a new baby coming up, or has arrived, and all the attention goes to the baby, but it is important for the family members and the fathers, the husbands, to give attention and pampering to their wives as well, so that they feel equally important, and which also helps them in bonding with their babies. Yeah, beautifully put, Nasir and Anurit. I would like to move on to the Q&A session now.
Sure.
Okay. So I would like to tell the audience, please ask your questions in the Zoom group chat comment box. Yeah. So I think we have a question already. Yeah, it is from Amit. How do you draw that line where the kid is not getting in the friend zone and starts disrespecting and still is a friend? I think Anurit, you could answer that question.
Yeah. See, as the kids grow older, we have already given them the power to communicate everything they want to. And like I said, there is a level where they may turn disrespectful towards you. You see?
Yeah.
So, like I told you even earlier, there have to be set family rules. You have to tell the children what is expected from them and how they are expected to behave also. So once you do sharing with your child and have certain principles laid out very clearly, it becomes easier as a parent to even demand respect when you're actually even showing respect to them. You know, sometimes as parents, when they come into their adolescent years, we become very stereotypical. If my child is an adolescent, my child is going to disobey, is not going to follow rules. First, try to understand that if your child is firstly disrespecting you or is wanting to become independent or autonomous, what is the reason? Are other children also doing those things which the child is actually coming to you and arguing with you about? So you need to understand the cause for it first as a parent. That is why I said very nicely when Kunal said that we share our secrets. From early years only, make sure that your communication channel is quite open, but at all time, you have to let your child know that I am the parent and you are my child. Because I always, though the filter was, it's that semi-permeable membrane kind of a thing, you see, where we can say many things to you, but you still remain our children, you see.
Right.
So, and once they become adolescents, then even as parents, we need to tolerate a lot, because once again, there's a lot of change in emotions and hormonal changes. So even we have to be accepting that our child is growing up. Sometimes we feel, how can they behave like this? My child is disrespecting me. I've given everything to my child and this is the way my child is behaving. Expectation. Right. So keeping your expectations clear, spell out your family rules very clearly. Try to go to the underlying factor, what is actually disturbing your child. And here also I'd say empathize with your child. Empathy helps you understand your child's perspective. Right. Come down to your child's level. Listen to what your child is saying. Don't just be an authoritarian parent. I'm a parent, I'll take the decision.
Okay.
And another, last of all, is give a choice to your child. The moment we give choices to our children, that this is what you're arguing about, these are the two choices. You take it, you leave it. And then they should know what is the reinforcement, positive or negative reinforcement following that. Then the child will follow the rules that we've set out.
So I thank you, Anuri. Thanks a lot. We have the next question to Kunal. Kunal, you have two daughters, right? So how, as a father, do you see any sibling rivalry between the two? I mean, of course, Anika is too young, but all the attention is now on probably on Anika. How do you maintain that balance so that the elder one doesn't feel jealous of the younger one, and things like that? So that's the question that we have.
So basically, we try and give even Riyahi equal attention. So for example, like when we are bathing Anika, like when I bathe her in the morning or in the evening, even Riyahi wants to be part of that, bathing her and then she wants me to even bathe her as well. Though she's 5 years old and she can bathe herself, but so that way it kind of shows that I'm giving both of them equal time and giving them the same time. And as such, we've not seen that kind of rivalry in terms of jealousy, but we try and give as much attention as we can to both of them equally in whatever we are doing.
Nice. Okay. Thank you, Kunal, for answering that. I would like to tell the audience again, please send in your questions in the Zoom group chat. Waiting for questions.
In the meanwhile, Neha, I would like to add on to the sibling rivalry thing.
Yes, please.
That when you have children, some kind of little rivalry between them, how much ever attention you may give both of them, it may come up. You see? So it is very natural that your children fight. I mean, as couples, we all have our set of arguments. Our children have their own set of battles and little fights. Let them have it. See, they have to learn to sort it out by themselves. And you intervene only when you see that it is threatening, you see?
Okay.
I mean, my children have reached adulthood, but thanks to this lockdown, I hear them arguing over so many aspects all the time, you see? So, but that doesn't mean that they're not friends. They're the best of friends. They love each other the most, I think. So the love does not define, the fights do not define your love for each other, really, you see? So
Right.
a little jealousy, even amongst friends, you may have a little tiff. So this is a natural thing to have sibling rivalry. So we must accept it and manage our kids accordingly.
Okay, all right. So thank you, Anurit, for adding that. We have a question for Nasir. How are dads introducing culture to the children?
Fantastic. Okay. Just a quick one, just will go back a little bit. So I'm a practicing Muslim and my wife is a practicing Hindu. It's an interreligion marriage and obviously things are in the best of things right now. So yeah, that's a question that a lot of people ask me, and a lot of people means from both sides, keep on asking me what religion would Kabir follow. So the reason for naming him Kabir also was one thing. I'm not in love with any poet or something. I'm not a poet myself. It's because it's a common name, it's some name that may keep, one side happy and the second side happy also. And unfortunately in our country, unfortunately today also, religion plays the most important part currently. So making sure, he's in between both these things. So how do I introduce him? Yes, I stay with my parents. And my father, mother, everyone they are practicing Muslims. So, obviously the namaz, how to pray the namaz, to say something like a Bismillah to start off your food eating. Neha, you must have.
Yeah, I am aware of
it. So, all those things happen. But whenever Kabir goes to his Nana Nani's place also, so they are ardent fans of Bappa, of Ganpati Bappa. So they have a lot of idols all across, their house and things of that sort. So Kabir actually, says a lot of things. When he comes back also, he tells me, Bappa and things of that sort. So, I'm not introducing, he's actually getting introduced to religion himself, with both the sets of grandparents. For me, religion is just a state of mind, actually, to be very honest. I'm not an atheist at the end of it, but for me, it's not imposing something on someone. But yes, the basics, I am introducing him to both set of things. There are enough and more things to love in each and every religion that is there. So the good side of it, the bright side of it, be him follow Allah right now or Prophet, as well as following Bappa, Shivji, Ramji, Sita Maya, everything. So I'm very open. We are not both as parents, it's very important as parents not to impose anything on a child from day one. Not at all, so making sure that everything is...
It's quite a sensitive issue when it comes to, telling your child to do something or follow something. So it's best to let them choose.
Choose what they want. Yes, you obviously, tell them the good things. I'm not saying, completely get them out of religion. So religion is very important. It is your inner peace of mind. It is your, it is there. Unfortunately, it is a part of our culture completely, or fortunately a part of our culture that, it's important. So it's completely his choice.
Yeah, I get it.
His choice.
Okay, so next question is, dad's view on travel with kids. What will change here on? So, of course, after the lockdown gets over, how is it going to affect your family time with your children? How are you gonna take children out? So, yeah.
Cool. Should I,
Who would like to answer that question? Kunal, would you like to say something about what will be the scenario like for children
I will
post
take it
lockdown?
day by day. I mean, post the lockdown, what scenario everybody is in terms of, you know, schooling, holidays, everything. So it's going to be difficult in terms of traveling, because we're going to be watching in terms of places for hygiene and things like that. So it'll be difficult to initially travel in terms of, you know, going to the airports or you know, going and staying in hotels. But I think over time things will normalize. So we'll have to wait for things to normalize, and then only we'll be in that position to take that step of taking vacations. Otherwise, I think in the near term, I don't think people are ready, especially when we have a 7-month-old daughter. It will be difficult for us to take that decision to, you know, plan a holiday right away.
Yeah.
We will
And
wait.
and Nasir, since you are an avid traveler and you take Kabir for these traveling trips, so what do you think? What could
so
be the
yeah,
scenario like?
unfortunately, it's not going to stay the same. Obviously, things are not going to be the same for a while now. So I'm part of the industry, which obviously, and I believe that for the next 1 year or so, it will be the wait and watch thing that a lot of parents will adopt to. कि ये गया है कि नहीं, whether this person has gone or not, why should you go, and things of that sort. So I see immediately, if you actually ask me, plane rides are out for children, infants, toddlers, or children till the age of at least 4 or 5. To be very honest, it's not going to be comfortable. But I think drivable distances are surely going to be. So if I get a chance today, if the lockdown opens up, I will surely take my car, zip through right now to to the nearest hill station, because I'm tired of seeing these four walls.
We all are. We all
Yeah,
are.
we all are. So I would personally, honestly, do that. Take a 2-hour drive or 1.5-hour drive. Also, make sure I don't stay in a hotel for now, to be very honest. However, whatever star the hotel is at the end of it, the breakfast areas and things of that sort are common currently. There are ways that hotels are changing. Right from the basic hotels to everyone else, but standalone places which give me a confirmation of the hygiene standards that they maintain there. So nowadays you have a Saffron Stays or something of that sort. I'm not again publicizing anyone on this forum, but someone, some company which takes care of hygiene, sanitation to a very high level. And because at the end of it, more than me, it's for my child. I should make sure that he's comfortable. But yes, given 2 months from now, post lockdown, I will surely be going to at least drivable distances with my kids for sure. And possibly come Diwali, start a domestic part of it. And hopefully, inshallah, the international things can come up whenever it is.
Great. So we have a next question for all the three of you. So I'll start with Kunal. Okay. So Kunal, tell me, what is that one experience you would want to give your child? The best experience. What is it that you would like to make it memorable for them? Sorry, both the children. Like experience in the sense of what sort of outings or events you would like to see that your child participates in, children rather.
Sorry, I'm muted myself. Basically, I would want her to experience life and be like a global citizen. I would say, the kind of education that we're providing the platform, in terms of the travel, everything that we're providing. It has to be a overall holistic, kind of for them, that where they can appreciate everything that comes to them in life, in terms of whatever they've seen, in terms of their experience, I would say, rather than, just going by the book, whatever they've experienced in terms of, life, in terms of travel, whatever they've seen, I think that is what the key takeaway I would want them.
Okay. And Anurit, what according to you should be what are the kind of experiences that a child should have during their early growing years?
See, according to me, even as a parent and as a psychologist, I always feel living in the moment is very important. Even right now, the kind of experience we are having by being at home and spending this family time so beautifully together is something that you have to appreciate. So I feel from the earlier years to the years that I have made my kids reach today, I always want them to express and experience gratitude for whatever. See, we've traveled the world together, we've been into nature. I've tried to do everything hands on with them, making sure that all our senses are very active. Obviously, as a psychologist, I'll want to do that. Trying the very basic things from playing with the sand to hearing the sound of nature, and to various countries. We last year also traveled to beautiful countries together. My idea is that when you're experiencing something, enjoy the moments we are in. When we even got into this lockdown, the first week was a very tough week for all of us because we really couldn't adjust to the idea that we're not moving out of the house. But believe it, right now, even this experience itself is so wonderful that now we've adjusted. We found our cozy corners. We are doing our things at our own pace. We've divided the day into different things, what we want to do, our routine changes, etc. So according to me, actually, the experience I want my children to have should be something very realistic, something where they can appreciate every moment of where and what they are spending in, and also uh, mm, uh, uh, live in the present. You see, wherever they are going, because sometimes we keep saying, oh, my past was so beautiful. Oh, I want to see more of the world. Now, see,
Right.
like you all are saying, travel will become very difficult for a while. So
Right.
that means will we stop traveling, even car traveling, if we go to some hill stations, we must enjoy that, right?
Right.
So maybe for a while, all that foreign travels and foreign experiences may not happen. But whatever we are happening, we must enjoy it thoroughly and enjoy the experience of it.
Right. Right. So I would like to add that. Actually, we are running out of time, so I'll have to conclude the session. Just to add to what Anurit had said, and about the experiences bit. Nasir, you also had to there was, sorry, one question that I missed asking you was, now that the traveling becomes difficult, uh, uh, you must be doing some activities for your children, for your child at home, right?
Yeah, very
Yeah.
much.
So can you quickly tell us? Then I'll conclude the session.
So actually, not that too many activities have changed over from, apart from going out and things of that sort. Obviously, a lot of those things have changed. But at home, everything that we used to do earlier, yeah, there's nothing, that's changed because there's no traveling happening and things of that sort. So just the intensity or the number of times I do that activity is much more now.
Okay.
Because as a kid also today, there are some activities that he likes, some activity that he dislikes, at this age. And he kind of showcases emotion very clearly. If he doesn't like a activity, I don't do that with him. Or, and I make sure, okay, one activity, for example, I do that with him 5-6 times also because he completely enjoys it. He has his laughs, he has his giggles, and that makes my day. So I just make sure I do that more than,
Great.
nudging him or imposing any activities on him. But reading, yes, reading has become a very important part of late for him, and he loves it. Luckily, so I read a lot to him, and I think which I didn't used to do that too much earlier. His mother used to don the role of a reader to him, but now I've been reading all stories to him. So there's a
Wonderful, wonderful.
good library for him out there for books.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so thank you all. I would like to conclude this session. Thank you all, Anureet, Kunal, Nasir,
Thank you.
for joining us today and sharing insights on raising children and sharing your own personal experiences with us. And I would also like to thank the audience for joining us live and being a part of this discussion and asking your questions. I hope you have gotten some insights that could, help you raise children. And our objective at Kids Okay Please is to give marvelous childhoods. Yeah, so we strive to achieve that. And thank you all. I would like to say that please, whoever's watching this session, please go to our Facebook page and Instagram page and like us and share us, follow us, spread the word, and let's come together and create marvelous childhoods for our children. Yeah, thank you all for
Thank
joining.
you, Neha.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Neha, for having
Kunal. Thank
us.
you,
Thank you,
Nasir.
Neha.
Nice being with
Completely.
you all.
Pleasure meeting all of you all. E-meeting you all,
Same
actually.
here.
Yes, yes.
Lovely.
Thank you.
And thanks to Kids
Thank
Okay
you.
Please for having this session. Surely informative, I'm quite sure, for everyone.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Neha. You're a fantastic
Bye.
facilitator.
Same here. Thank you.